बरगड़वासी खुशी खबर काली उद्घाटन हेब गंगाधर मेहर उठा जलसेचन प्रकल्प और कैंसर हॉस्पिटल शुभारंभ करेंगे मुख्यमंत्री। जलसेचन प्रकल्प द्वारा 129 गाँवर चाष जमी हेब जलसेचित। नृसिंहनाथ पीठ विकासमूलक कार्य सहित 59टी प्रकल्प हेब उद्घाटन। पीडीएस चाउल दुर्नीतिर पर्दाफाश खोलीगला मयूरभंज जिला जामबणी पंचायत जोगाण सहायक कलामुखा। निर्वाही अधिकारी मिली भगतरे 73 क्विंटाल चाउल चलू थाना बीडीओ देले तला। गिरफ भୟରେ 2 अधिकारी फेरार। ढेंकानाल रे हाथी आक्रमण जनित मृत्यु सर्वाधिक। एक वर्ष में 29 मृत रोकवा वन विभाग ब्लूप्रिंट। हाथी को ट्राक सहित बेकरे लगाजिब रेडियो कलार। अघटन बड़ कारण NH 55 संप्रसारण पर हाथी कॉरिडोर बंद। एवं जनबसति मुहां होती गजराज। हलदी सह स्ट्रॉबेरी कंधमाल जिलार एवं नुआ परिचय। राज्य सरकार सहयोग में लाभवान होती चाषी। जिलार 20 रु अधिक SHG नियोजित। किलो पिछा 500 टंकार बिक्री। रोजगार सुजोग पर मुख्यमंत्री को धन्यवाद जणाइले महिला गोष्ठी। निर्वाचन पूर्व कांग्रेस को झटका। ढेंकानाल रे हाथ छाड़िले पूर्वतन मंत्री नवीन चंद्र नारायण दास। पूर्वतन जिला कांग्रेस सभापति सरोज पट्टनायक समेत बहु नेता और कर्मी दल में अणदेखा एवं राज्य सभापति मनमुखी कार्यर प्रतिवाद रे इस्तफा। मां पुओं संदेहजनक मृत्यु। गंजाम जिला जरडा चुलिया लांजी गाँव में चांचल्य। बंद घर 2 मृतदेह उद्धार। मृतक होती भी नीलाबेणी और 7 वर्षर पुओ डी ऋतिक। मृत्युर कारण अस्पष्ट। बापा मोहन राव दुबई में रहती। पुलिस और साइंटिफिक टीम तदंत। भक्ति और विश्वास नियारा उपासना। मानसिकधारी उड़ाती पारा। रायगड़ा जिला हाथीखंबा मां कुलबंधों यात्रा स्वतंत्र परंपरा। 2 वर्ष में थरे माघ मासर शेष रविवार में हुए आयोजित। हजार हजार श्रद्धालुओं समागम। शांति श्रृंखला रक्षापी व्यापक व्यवस्था। नमस्कार, ग्राउंड जीरो बुलेटिन को आपको स्वागत करुच्ची अविनाश। वर्तमान संपूर्ण खबर। राज्यर और 5 जिले में आरंभ है लक्ष्मी बस सेवा। सुवर्णपुर, कटक, झारसुगुड़ा, कंधमाल और संबलपुर जिले में लक्ष्मी बस योजनार शुभारंभ कर मुख्यमंत्री नवीन पट्टनायक। 5टी जिलार 700टी पंचायत में 205टी बस चलाचल आरंभ होती। द्वारा 44 लाख अधिक लोक उपकृत हेबे। सुवर्णपुर 102टी पंचायत में 58टी बस चली बेले द्वारा 5,63,000 लोक उपकृत होती। सेहीपरि कटकर 261टी पंचायत में 48टी बस द्वारा 18,37,000 लोक उपकृत होती। झारसुगुड़ार 76टी पंचायत में 16टी बस द्वारा 5 लाख। सीधासलख जा नुआ कार्यक्रम कहे नुआ कार्यक्रम।
Whole day session, then it is doubly challenging to keep a session very interesting. I thought of something. I'll ask a question to all of you, 2-3 questions. How many of you have got first rank in your classes? Please raise your hands. Wow, wow, I'm very scared. Okay. How many of your children have got first rank in some class or other? Wow, some of them have raised for both. Very good. Okay. How many of you in your field feel you are number 1 in your field? Please raise your hands. Okay, good. Don't, no half-hearted attempts. Okay, how many of you want to be number 1 in your field? That is an easy question. Great, thank you. We all know how difficult it is to reach the top, how difficult it is to get that number 1, rank number 1, whether it is class 5B section or class 10A section, or you take the entire class or the school. It's always difficult to get that number 1 spot. Sometimes people say you are lucky, sometimes people say that by accident you get it, sometimes people say that, oh, this guy has done hard work and we all know that he will come as number 1. Sometimes, like me, people say, my teacher told when I topped the national entrance for IRA, agriculture, one of my teachers joked and said, when did they give you the question paper? Previous night or in the exam hall? So it varies from person to person. But the point is, to get number one has to really work hard. One has to sacrifice. One has to have that strong determination. We might have seen in our children what that burning desire, that commitment. Oh, Kumar has come number one this time. He is just breathing in my neck. Next month, I will beat him. Every month is a struggle. Every year is a struggle. It starts from class 1 or pre-KG, and it continues even now. And it continues in every form possible. And we always want to be the number one, whether it is sports, whether it is recreation, whether it is education, whether it is industry, whether it is skill, everything. But to reach that number one and to maintain that is one of the toughest challenges one faces. Now imagine to come to number one in a classroom or a school or a district, you have to put so much effort, sacrifice so much. Here is a person who is number one in the country. Number one in the country. I remember the first time when he became number one. It was 2003. India Today's ranking came, and he was ranked as the number one chief minister in the country. It was 2003. Why I remember? Because I was sub-collector in a subdivision called Dharamgarh in Kalahandi. He had come to Kalahandi with the India Today, because that day India Today had come. Maybe he had got it in the airport or something and carried it, and he was seeing it and discussing. That's how I remember. So from 2003 to 2024, it's 2 decades. And he has maintained that number one for 20 years. 20 years. In the process, what all one has crossed. When he took over as chief minister, computers were just entering India. Big, those desktop regime was there. People were not aware of computers. Then computers came, laptop came, iPhones came. Then there was a sudden surge of 24/7 news channels. And then finally the social media. Why I want to go through this trajectory is because you are subjected to so much of scrutiny. It's very difficult to maintain that kind of impeccable integrity, commitment, dedication in public eye when you have so much of scrutiny. And this man has done it all. 20 years, whether it is computer era or electronic media era or social media era, nobody could point a single finger at him. And he has maintained that impeccable integrity, commitment, dedication for the state. And in every election, his majority goes up. His popularity goes up and his vote share goes up. It keeps rising. There should be something in him because of which people of Odisha are continuously in love with him for more than 2 decades. Almost 2.5 decades it's going to be. It's 24th year now. How is that possible? What did he do that people of Odisha are so much in love with him? What is the secret? This is what I'm going to speak a bit, because I am blessed to be with him for last 15, 16 years, very closely working with him. So I'll give some glimpses of perhaps why people fell in love with Mr. Naveen Patnaik. When he took over as Chief Minister of Odisha, Odisha was known for poverty and starvation. Odisha was a food deficit state. Odisha was dependent on other states for its own food security. It was ravaged continuously by cyclone, super cyclone, floods. and it was known for mishandling floods and supercyclones. In fact, in 1999, more than 10,000 precious lives were lost, and Odisha's economy was broke. Odisha was in shambles, and Odisha's economy was in doldrums. Odisha government was not able to pay salary for its own staff for 6 months, 3 months. Were dependent on RBI to release that overdraft to pay its own salary. That was the stage at which the Chief Minister took over as the CM of Odisha. So he kept 3 important targets. The first target was, I can't stop cyclones and super cyclones from hitting Odisha. It's a coastal state, and we have a large coastline, and the state is located in the neck of a peninsula, which has the highest exposure to any natural calamity. So he decided, let cyclones come, but people of Odisha will have the courage to see through the cyclone, look at the eye of the cyclone, and survive and flourish. How did he do that? He did a vulnerability mapping of the entire coast. He engaged IITs, did a vulnerability mapping of the entire coast, found out if the wind speed is this much, how much will be the wave rise, and how much water will come, up to where the water will come. If the wind speed is this much, how much flooding will... He did a complete scientific vulnerability mapping of the entire coast. Took scientific inputs, placed cyclone shelters and flood shelters at critical points. Wherever embankments were required, he put up embankments and improved the advanced warning system and involved people in understanding how a cyclone is formed and what kind of precautionary measures should happen, everything, community-based disaster management. He mastered that community-based disaster management. So he did everything in the coast. In 2012-13, we had a super cyclone called Phylin. The prediction was 250 kilometers per hour cyclonic wind speed. And the prediction was that you will have a huge disaster, lot of deaths will happen, and a part of Odisha will be stripped out because the angle in which it is going to hit is really bad. From BBC to US Navy projections, we all go by all those projections. Everyone predicted a doomsday for Odisha. The cyclone came. The cyclone hit at Gopalpur in 240, 38, 40, 45 kilometers per hour. We all waited for the death figures to come. We waited for 24 hours. Not a single death figure came. We waited for 48 hours. Not a single death figure came. Then we realized that Odisha has moved ahead. Odisha has seen the cyclone through its eyes and moved ahead. This is what Naveen Patnaik did in 12 years. So that was one of the biggest challenges he faced, cyclone. After that, we had Fani in 2000, which year is that? 2019, we had Fani. Vinyl, that clip. 2019, we had Fani. And after you can see that. In Fani, the cyclone was changing its trajectory often. It was supposed to hit Tamil Nadu, then it was supposed to hit Andhra. Then in last 20, it's one of the most unpredictable cyclones, even with all the advanced warning systems. Then finally it was to hit Puri in 24 hours. Not even 24 hours, 18 hours. Odisha evacuated 1 million people in 14 hours straight. 1 million people. See the kind of infrastructure, see the kind of manpower mobilization, see the kind of sensitiveness the community-based disaster management has got. And for that, Odisha got a front page editorial in New York Times. How do you save 1 million people from a cyclone? I don't agree for the second part. I agree for the first part. So we had editorials in all the leading newspapers of the world. And the Honorable Chief Minister was awarded for specializing benchmarking, setting global benchmarks in cyclone management. by the United Nations. First time a regional government or a provisional government or a state government is awarded with a UN award for managing cyclones. It is generally given to the national government. First time an award, recognition was given to a state. He became number one. He became number one in disaster management, not in the country, but in the world. Odisha is known for its disaster management practices. Then his next biggest challenge was poverty. Odisha was suffering with almost 70% poverty. 2/3 of the population was below poverty line. So he took it as a challenge. He invested heavily in agriculture. So both are interlinked. We were also dependent on other states for our own food security. Only if Punjab and Haryana will send us railway wagons, we will have our public distribution system running. Otherwise, we have to wait. If 2 months there is a train delay, wagon is not available, then our people have to wait for public distribution system, rice distribution to happen. The Chief Minister decided that he will introduce latest technologies in agriculture. He will introduce all kinds of extension systems, and he will increase the irrigation facility in the state, by which he wanted to achieve food security in the shortest possible time. He kept a target to himself. In 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, Odisha should be self-sufficient in food security. With God's grace and teamwork, in 2007, Odisha achieved food security. Odisha was no more dependent on other states for food security. And 2010-11, Odisha started contributing to nation's food security. And today, it is the third largest contributor for food security in the country. So from a food insecure state, he made our state a food secure state in a span of 12 years. And in 20 years now, we have overproduction of food grains. We have to sell outside. We have to contribute to food security of the public distribution system of other states. Many states are dependent on Odisha for public distribution system now. Their rice goes from Odisha. That's the stage where we have reached. In this process, Odisha is the only state, documented, only state to have doubled the farmers' income in 1 decade. Odisha is the only state who have doubled farmers' income in 1 decade. Again, a challenge was posed to Naveen Patnaik. He transformed the challenge. Not just he transformed the challenge, but he became number one in the country, the only state to have doubled farmers' income in the first decade, from 2000 to 2011-12. I spoke about poverty. It was 68% when he took over as Chief Minister, with all his interventions in social sector, agriculture, irrigation, everything put together. He reduced the poverty from 68% to the latest 11% in multidimensional poverty. 11%. I think it is about lifting almost 1,80,00,000 people out of poverty. 1,80,00,000 people out of poverty. It will be comparable to many countries. And he has done it in the fastest possible way. Again, number one, fastest reduction in poverty in the country is in Odisha. So this is one of his biggest challenges, the third challenge. The fourth challenge was, if I may put it, Odisha was bankrupt. We have to depend on other states for our own, paying the salary of our own employees. So he followed all fiscal prudence. He ruthlessly did everything, whatever is required, to improve the fiscal situation of the state. He cut down on waste expenditure. He was never populist. He invested on social capital. He invested on physical capital, which will give returns. Maybe the gestation period is little more, but it starts giving returns. And today, last 2 years, Odisha is the most revenue surplus state in the country. Odisha is the most revenue surplus state in the country. I think last year it was 28 or 30,000 crores, and this year I am told that we are going to cross 42,000 crores revenue surplus state in the country. Again, number one. He didn't become number one chief minister because of nothing. He faced every challenge which was posed to him, whether it is poverty, disaster management, agriculture, food security, revenue situation of the state, made those huge turnarounds. Either he set a national benchmark or a global benchmark. I think if I have to give examples, I can keep going on. Let's take your field, investments. Odisha was the lowest in attracting investment in 2000, 2001, 2002. It was the lowest, it was top, it was in the bottom most. And today, last 2 years, Odisha is number 2 in attracting investments in the country. Number 2 in the country. Manufacturing investments. It's only after Maharashtra. That is the scale in which investments are happening, the speed in which investments are happening. Perhaps this is one place we are number 2. Maybe next year we should, with all your help, we should crack it and make it number 1. So if I have to speak on so many parameters, Odisha, we took up sports as a challenge. The chief minister realized that Odisha has huge potential in sports. So his belief is, his trust in youth. Investment in sports is investment in youth. Investment in youth is investment in future. That is his philosophy. So he started investing in sports very heavily. From 15-20 crores a year, we started investing 1,000 crores a year in sports. And in 3 years, 4 years, we turned around sports ecosystem in the state. And now Odisha is seen as the sports capital of the country. We have hosted 2 World Cups. We have hosted 2 World Cups, hockey. We have hosted 2 international events in athletics. We are the only state in South Asia to have a indoor athletic stadium. Our aquatic complex is the best in the country and perhaps the best in the world. That is the kind of infrastructure we boast on sports. In fact, when Hockey World Cup was to be held for the second time, I'll just give an example of how determined Chief Minister is when he wants to do something. When Hockey World Cup was decided to be hosted in Odisha India for the second time. So when India gets it, then they requested Odisha to host it. So when the request came to host Odisha, Hockey World Cup in Odisha, the Hockey Federation thought we'll host it in Bhubaneswar, which has all infrastructure, air connectivity, hotels are there, everything is there, players, facilities, everything. But the Chief Minister decided that there is a district called Sundargarh in Odisha, which is known for hockey. And at some point of time, half of the national team was from one district. Half of the Indian national team, hockey team, men, women, everyone was from one district called Sundargarh. So he decided, as a tribute to the hockey-loving people of Sundargarh, I should host the World Cup in Sundargarh, Rourkela. Many of you would know Rourkela. He wanted to host it in Rourkela. When he decided to host in Rourkela, there was no stadium in Rourkela. There was no hotel for players to stay in Rourkela. There was no practice pitch in Rourkela. There was no airport in Rourkela. This I am talking about was 2021. Sorry, 20. Just before the COVID happened. So then COVID happened. We started the work on building a stadium, building an airstrip, building hotels for the players. There was a challenge that with COVID and with lockdown and everything, whether we should be able to host it in Rourkela. The Chief Minister decided, I will put all my might. This is a challenge for all of us. My team will deliver and we'll make world's largest hockey stadium in a record time. Can we have the video, please? Odisha made the world's largest seated hockey stadium. Audio?
Watch Superstructures. It's a Honda Hockey Stadium Hockey 15th March, Wednesday 8 p.m. on National Geographic.
So, we got Guinness record for having the largest seated stadium in the world. And that too in spite of COVID, with all the limitations, all this stuff come from all over the world. You have got shipments coming from Italy, from Europe, from all over the world. The floodlights have to come from somewhere. The AstroTurf has to come from somewhere. But everything was done in clock precision. And it was delivered in time. If you want to have an international event, your certification has to be done at a particular time. You need a buffer time to do the certification. It was all done as per timeline and deadline. That is the commitment with which the team Odisha delivered. This is an example of what we have done in sports. I'll show you one more video to show where we stand now. The transformation video. So this is a famous canal in Cuttack. Nene, go piche. Put from first. Rewind and put from first. Where is Vinil? Where is Vinil? Please pause. I think you have crossed it. You have to go little piche, 2 seconds. So this is a classic example of, little aage. I want to show that SCB ka work. SCB medical ka work. Yes. Anyway, it's okay. So this is a classic example of a little transformation which was done in the heart of Cuttack. This also was done during COVID time. How many of you, okay, they got the picture. There you can see the state's biggest hospital coming up. That is the SCB Medical College. The Honorable Chief Minister is transforming the SCB Medical College into a world-class hospital. This will be the 5th largest hospital in the country. Perhaps in next 10 months, we should have that hospital. So what I wanted to say is that even in health sector, our transformation is huge. Every hospital which is a first referral unit is getting transformed in the state. You can't make out whether it's a government hospital or a private hospital. That is the kind of transformation which all the hospitals in the state is undergoing. So in every sector, there is huge transformation which is happening. How many of you have been to Puri? Almost everyone. Okay. Next, I'm going to show like 1.5 minutes of how Puri has been transformed. Next. The temple was like this with all its surroundings. Now it is like this, the same location. The other direction, it was like this. You can mark the temple in the front as a marker. After transformation. Earlier, 5,000 people used to stand in front of the temple. Now, lakhs of people can stand peacefully and do darshan. I'll show one more. This is on the western side. Many of you will have industry in Sambalpur. A 4-acre temple is transformed into 40 acres now. For next 500 acres, there is no problem. Then, this is one of our favorite transformations. I spoke about hospital transformation. I wish I could show some videos to all of you to convince all of you that what I say is what we have done. But schools, at least, we have a video on transformation. And we have got 8,651 high schools in the state. I'm happy to say that we have transformed all the high schools. We are the only state in the country who have transformed all the high schools in the last 3 years. All 8,600 high schools have been transformed. And now we are in the process of transforming the higher secondary schools and the colleges and the technical institutions. Maybe that will take about 2 years or 2.5 years. The entire higher education would have completely gone through a overhaul, not just physical infrastructure, but everything from curriculum to soft skills to everything what is required to make Odisha globally competitive. Please play. That's fine. Fine. So that's the story of each vertical I wanted to show. You might have seen major temples, historic sites getting transformed, restored. I must humbly say that every major temple in every panchayat is getting transformed. We are transforming about 10,000 temples in the state. Along with that, about 2,000 churches, 1,000 mosques, and whatever gurudwaras and Jain sites are there, all of them are getting transformed at one stroke. If you take health, all the first referral units in the state are getting transformed. In education, all the high schools and above are getting transformed. Perhaps the next would be the primary school and elementary school, because the numbers are so huge. We wanted to target where we get the returns first and make the community get convinced. The community has to get convinced that, okay, this is possible. Our government schools can look and do much better than private schools. Our government schools, we can transform the blackboards into smart boards, digital boards. Our kids can have access to the best of education. The trust has to come. So for the trust to come, we started the entry point at high school level, where we have done some little research. Wherever transformation has happened, wherever growth has happened, all of them have invested in high school at the first. You take China, you take Vietnam, you take South Korea. Whenever you have a research crunch and you want to focus on a sector, they have done it in high school. That's why we also started starting from high schools. Now, what is the reason for showing all these things to all of you? To convince you that we are a serious government, to convince you that the Chief Minister means business, to convince you that we are a team which actually delivers, walk the talk. I want to tell all of you that the first 10 years was poverty reduction for the state. Disaster management. You face challenges, you have to cross those challenges. We have come to a stage now where the state is in the takeoff stage. We just signed an MOU with University of Berkeley for artificial intelligence, perhaps the first state to sign an MOU with UAE, Berkeley for AI for all our school kids. So we are actually thinking big. The investments which we are planning to get has to help us in diversify in our income portfolio from being a mineral-based economy. The Chief Minister wants the state to grow in new world economy, knowledge economy, IT. All of you are here. That is where we have a huge opportunity to grow together. And we'll do it in style. We'll do it in speed you can't imagine. That much commitment I'll give you, and that is what I wanted to show all of you. If the Raja of Puri had mentioned 500 years, nothing substantial could be done for the Sri Mandir. 500 years. There were Rajas, Maharajas, British collectors, everyone, so many of them were there. They all tried and stopped it in between. Even in Odisha, earlier 2 or 3 chief ministers have tried and stopped after some time. But this chief minister decided, come what may, I'll get it done. I want to clean up the temple. I want next future generations to have a divine experience having a parikrama of the temple. I'll risk everything, but I'll get this job done. That's how a work which was not done for 500 years. He risked his political career and got into it, and got it done successfully with Lord's grace. So we are in a takeoff stage where we want to partner with all of you. Bakshi sir is here. He has taken skills to a particular level. We are the first and perhaps the only state so far to help India win a world medal, world skills competition mein gold medal. Odisha is the only state. I am so thankful to Madam Alka Mishra for organizing this with such personal touch and personal efforts with Madam Usha Padi. I can assure you if any state is doing X in promoting investment, to facilitating your industry to come in, to facilitate your business, we will do it in 2X or 3X. That is the commitment I can give. And we'll do it in the most transparent manner. You don't have, the only vested interest of Chief Minister is people of Odisha. He has no other vested interest, and if anyone has any other vested interest, he is known for sacking dozens of ministers, arresting so many IAS officers, IPS officers, and sending many of these super class contractors to jail. He is known for it. He looks very soft, but he takes really tough decisions. So transparency is something which we stand for, and that is one of the reasons you see that growth of the state. I'll give you a small example. Jharkhand has mineral resources. Chhattisgarh has mineral resources. Karnataka has mineral resources. To some extent, Andhra also has mineral resources. In 2016-17, the MMDR Act was amended to go for transparent auction to settle the natural resources. So before that, our revenue was in the range of 5,000, 6,000 crores a year from mineral-based revenue. 6,000, 7,000 crores, sometimes 8,000, sometimes 6,000, like that, at that range. All these other states I spoke about was 4,000, 5,000 crores range. Maybe 1,000, 2,000 crores less than Odisha at that point of time. Today, Odisha's earning from mineral resources is almost reaching 50,000 crores. From 6,000, 7,000, it has reached 50,000 crores. I don't want to tell about all other states. You can just check it and find out. I can tell you one thing, none of the states could double their mineral income, whereas Odisha has increased it by 7-8 times. From 6,000 crores to reach 50,000 crores. Imagine what kind of a transparent commitment government he has provided. And that is the same commitment, same transparency with which we all can work together and help each other, provide more jobs, empower the youth of the state, make profit for yourselves, and have a great experience of working and building a state and partners in building the nation. We should not compete with other states. Our challenge is we will compete with the best in the world. Our Chief Minister has always dreamt big. Disaster management, we should be the best in the world. Poverty reduction, we should be known not just for poverty reduction, but the speed in which we reduce poverty. Transformation, school transformation, do it in 2 years, 3 years, completely transform the entire education system. Health, we have got a assurance model of health. I don't think in the world anywhere it is there. Maybe in Cuba it is there, somebody told me. But otherwise, I'm not sure whether any other state, any other country has this kind of a system. We have a card called Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana scheme, in which 90% of the people of Odisha have been covered under this health card. 90% of the people. What is this card? It's almost like a debit card. We have empaneled about 700 hospitals in the country. It's not an insurance-based card. With due regards to whoever, if somebody is there from insurance sector, with due regards to you, we didn't want anyone to be intermediary between the patient and the service provider. That is the only reason. Because RSBY, we had very bad experience. Rashtriya whatever that Bima Yojana. The problem was, people did not get that satisfaction. You will raise a bill for 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, but the insurance company will allow for 1.5 lakhs. The hospital will do some harassment. All these things were happening. Chief Minister decided, we will form a trust in the state. From the trust, the money goes directly to the hospital, and it is completely seamless, cashless. The patient, a poor patient in Malkangiri, a tribal patient, has a heart attack. He can come with our ambulance, free ambulance, to Apollo, CARE, whichever hospital you name it. He will have the guts to enter that hospital because he has got this card. He doesn't have to wait for 20 years till he becomes rich to go to a good hospital and get admitted. He is empowered by Naveen Patnaik. He don't have to bother about anything. He goes, he swipes the card, he gets treated. The minute he swipes the card, uses the card, he gets a message saying that for your heart operation, your limit is 5 lakh rupees, 3.5 lakh rupees is used for this, still you have 1.5 lakh rupees. And the Chief Minister ran the extra mile for women. For male, it is 5 lakh rupees per year. And for women, it is 10 lakh rupees per year. Why he did that? Why he did that 10 lakhs for women? He knows very well. Whenever you put a limit on something, the limit first goes to the male member of the family. Your grandmother may be suffering from something, but you may think, maybe my son or my father will have some problem, I'll wait. My grandmother can adjust for some more time. Right? He wanted to kill this attitude by providing that extra for the woman. Why women should wait? Why women should have the second laugh? They should have an extra cushion. Now what happens? If a woman has a heart attack, the male will not think twice. He will think that, okay, Naveen Patnaik has given 5 lakhs more for woman. Take her to hospital. See the thought process behind every intervention of our Chief Minister. No wonder, after 2.5 decades, he still is the most popular Chief Minister and is #1 CM in the country. We are spending about 260 crores in this one intervention of Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana every month. So we spend about 3,000 crores every year in Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana. The state takes care of about 1,70,000 patients every month. So if you want a comparison, I can tell you, we are the only state who have not adopted Ayushman Bharat of Government of India because of 2 reasons. One is the scale in which the coverage is, the Chief Minister wanted to do extra, and the population coverage. Ayushman Bharat would have covered 55-60% of the population. CM wanted near universal health coverage for everyone. So 90% of the population has got this card now. The second part is Ayushman Bharat. If you Google and see, the budget for the entire country only on treatment, I am not telling about infrastructure, is about 7,000, 8,000 crores. The state spends 3,000 to 3,500 crores every year. So that is the difference you can see. So the Chief Minister wants to empower poor to have best access to hospitals, poor to have best access to education, poor to have best access to skills and employment. That is where all of us will join together. Skill development is doing really well. They are setting global benchmarks. I don't think any state in the country have got a tie-up with, any state in the country has got a tie-up with ITES, or any state in the country has got a skill mapping and skill perspective as done in Odisha. So inclusive and so futuristic at the same time. So that's what they have all done. Thank you so much. We'll all partner together. I can assure you, if you partner with Odisha, we both will join together and take state to global benchmark. Thank you so much. Thanks for your patient listening.
Thank you, sir, indebted for your inspiring speech.
So if we all join together, we'll become #1, rank #1, which all of us dream in every field. Thank you. Jai Jagannath.
Thank you, sir. I'd be requesting Chairperson OSDA, Srimati Alka Mishra, to please join us on the stage and to present a token of appreciation to none other than Chairman 5T, Chairman Amo Odisha, Naveen Odisha, Shri V.K. Pandian, sir. Please put your hands together, everyone. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for leveling up this summit with your motivating words. Indeed inspiring for all of us as an individual, as a team, and as proud citizens of the state. So next session, we will be moving Ladies and gentlemen, is Dialogue with Pride of Odisha. Odisha has created industry icons who stands as a beacon of inspiration, embodying resilience and triumph. This session aims to inspire through success stories of chasing the unthinkable. It also
जड़े गृहिणी हो घर में स्वप्न देखा प्रायतः असंभव। दिने गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट रू सार माने आसीथिले कहले गोटे मिशन शक्ति ग्रुप करंतु आपण रोजगार करि परिबे। मु खाली सिलाई काम शिखिथिली प्रथमरु साहस नथिला किंतु मुख्यमंत्री को ऊपर विश्वास थिला। धीरे धीरे आमे आगो को आगेलु। पुओ भी पायलट हैला। एबे पुओ मते कहे तोरा काम करबा दरकार नहीं तते जेते